What's going on, guys? I got a GOAT format duel review for you today, and specifically, we are going to be looking at geistD versus Don't Copy. Both of these guys are two of the top GOAT format players. I would probably put geistD in my top 10 of all time. And Don't Copy, also an amazing player. Lots of good tournament finishes. Both of these guys just made top at Worlds, and geistD is playing a pretty interesting deck today, so I thought I'd show this one off. This was played in the Dueling Book GOAT Format Ranked Ladder. I just kind of have a bot that scopes out the top matches, and I'd been sitting on this one for a while. This was played maybe about a month ago, but I thought this would be a good time to bring it out as both of these players have done very well lately. So yeah, I don't think either of these players will be making a lot of mistakes this game, but I will be reviewing their plays, just giving my thoughts. I actually, I like this Graceful. We opened Graceful Sinister, so of course you're going to activate it. I also like discarding Solemn here. I think Solemn is a great card to discard. You might think, oh, well, maybe I should just discard Jar Greed because Jar Greed isn't that powerful, but Solemn is really much better in the late game. You don't want to have this card on turn one. This is why a lot of players are only playing maybe one or two copies of Solemn now, because you want to see it later in the game. So geistD understands that. He discards that Solemn. The rest of our hand is, a bunch of good cards. We are gonna duo because it's turn one. We always duo on turn one. Very little reason to hold it. And yeah, we set Faith, because why not? We set Jar Greed. We get some information now, right? If our opponent has Heavy Storm, he might play it, think he's going to get a 2-for-1, but, not. Here, though, Don't Copy decides not to use Heavy Storm, just because he doesn't really have much follow-up, right? What are you going to do if you Heavy Storm? Yeah, you could go Heavy Storm, Tribe, attack the face down, but then Tribe might not get run over, and then you don't get to go plus with Tribe Sinister. So, yeah, I think this play is fine. Again, we have Guilty Knowledge. We know both players' cards, but I think if you're Don't Copy here, you started the game very behind, and you just kind of have to hope your opponent doesn't have Faith set. I mean, it feels bad, but I think so far both of these players have made the right plays. Of course, we get back Sinister. I don't think you necessarily have to use Jar Greed right now, but if you're going to go Faith for Graceful, you want to see the extra card when you're making your decision. And, you could get something like Duo here. The thing to note about Duo, though, is it does cost another 1,000 life, and we have Ring Set, so it's like, we don't want to be super ahead on cards and then end up paying too much life and losing because of it. So I like Graceful here. Getting Graceful is definitely the safer play. Here I think we could maybe just discard Heavy Storm because we have so many traps at this point. He does discard Heavy Storm, and yeah, we could meta the Faith. I don't know how many ways geistD has to get rid of a 0 attack 1,000 Eyes. If he has a lot, I think this is a good play. Either way, I think this can be a fine play. But we don't want to fall into the trap that GOAT Control has historically fallen into, where you get super ahead on cards, but then you don't have a way to out your own 1,000 Eyes. We could set more traps here, but the thing is we really don't want to have Solemn plus Ring Set at the same time, because it puts you in a very awkward spot if your opponent does use Heavy, because you end up paying a bunch of life and then your Ring isn't very good anymore. So I think geistD so far made some solid plays. Clearly a guy that has a lot of experience with GOAT Control. Of course, I know he has a lot of experience with GOAT Control. Note that one option here is that we can just go Tribe to kill our own 1,000 Eyes. That is something that we could do. Given how ahead we are, I would actually consider doing that. Just pressuring our opponent here a bit. I'm not sure if I'm super in love with this Breaker play, because the problem is now we have two Spellcasters. So if we want to go Tribe, kill our 1,000 Eyes, it will kill Breaker too. But maybe he has a plan. Keep in mind, I don't know every single card in geistD's deck. I assume it's similar to the list from Worlds, but I really don't know. So the jar greed baits the breaker here. Don't copy is definitely going to be happy about how this game is going so far. Obviously, we're going to search Thunder Dragon. We could just go tribe kill the spellcasters, but given the way the game is developing, I don't see a reason to do that. I would really like to just set Sangan, see if maybe there's anything else we can bait. Don't Copy does set Sangan. Don't Copy is definitely playing against this Thousand Eyes very well. And yeah, geistD says, okay, I'll turn Thousand Eyes to defense. Just discard my Sinister, say go. Obviously, geistD is still ahead here. And, geistD is just content to wait until we draw something out this Thousand Eyes. I actually do like that geistD hasn't been setting a bunch of traps here. Again, we do have the guilty knowledge that the opponent has Heavy Storm, but geistD doesn't, right? You don't need a bunch of stuff to protect this Thousand Eyes here. Heck, you're not even really trying to protect it. If your opponent killed Thousand Eyes somehow, you would probably be happy. So we don't need to set this Mirror. We don't need to set this Torrential. We don't need to set this Solemn. All we need is really just a ring and, Jargreed to maybe bait out that Heavy Storm. Now, don't copy. Yeah, you definitely are going to activate Graceful here. You're definitely really happy to see this Graceful. Yeah, make the obvious discards. Now I think really you could just pass, or maybe just set Solomon pass. I don't really think you need to set this to Kochi. But hey, you're probably thinking, okay, I'm gonna summon Tribe, clear the field, and the next turn flip to Kochi. So that's fine, really. It's really all good. So yeah, so far I think both these players have basically played perfectly. This is a cool trick where you can MST the thing that Thousand Eyes has equipped, and then get something else. Note this does put a dark in your opponent's grave now, right? Before that, your opponent just had a bunch of lights. Now you put the dark in there. So I don't necessarily know if I love this MST play, because what's the plan here? It's like, yes, you took another monster, but you still can't really attack. You still can't pressure your opponent. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. I might have just set the MST and just kind of sort of decided to see, okay, how's the game going to develop? Maybe wait a little more, get some more info. Decides to set Torrential now, which I'm not sure what that's about. But yeah, let's see what Don't Copy does. Because he's got a lot of options now. You can put Sorcerer Defense, banish the Thousand Eyes, try to banish the Breaker next turn, deny your opponent of 2 Darks. I think I just like Tribe better, though. I think you want to save Chaos Sorcerer as the main power card. Go Tribe, just kill 2 cards for free, flip Zangan, attack for 26. I would really love that play. And then if maybe your Tribe gets Solemned or something, well, then maybe you play Chaos Sorcerer. Instead, he decides to just set Solomon pass. I think maybe Don't Copy is worried that his opponent has Solemn, but if you're worried that your opponent had Solemn, you could just go heavy, try to bait the Solemn, then go Tribe attack for a bunch of damage. I don't know. I guess I'm not really sure why we're setting the Solemn first. It makes our Heavy Storm kind of worse now. So I actually don't agree with this play. This is the first play that I don't agree with. I assume that there's a plan here, but I don't know what the plan is. Maybe we'll see. Maybe Don't Copy is trying to set up some big play that I'm missing here. Maybe he just figures, okay, the Solemn makes my heavy worse, but I don't really care. I just want to have Solemn to counter anything. Who knows? But yeah, with Don't Copy at 8,000, I don't know. I don't feel like we're going to be using the Solemn anytime soon. That's just my opinion. A lot of hand shuffling. This is interesting. I mean, that does put a second dark in our grave. We already had a dark. I'm not sure what this is about. I don't know. To me, I would have just put on the pressure a long time ago with the Tribe. I know maybe we want to stall and sort of put the pressure on geistD to out his own Thousand Eyes. Yeah, and we decided to set the heavy. I don't know. I don't. I guess I don't really know what this is about. I also don't know why we're setting goats. I feel like maybe we could just set like Solomon instead. Well, I don't know. We have a couple of goats. We won't need one. Obviously, we need to play something, or else we'll have to discard. But yeah, I feel like geistD has like really gotten himself into an awkward spot. I feel like if the turn we'd summon Breaker, we'd just gone like Tribe, killed our own guy. We would have been able to put a lot more pressure on Don't Copy, and like the whole game would have developed differently. But it's hard to know. You know, geistD, you know, he could just be getting unlucky here. He could have lots of ways to out his Thousand Eyes. You could, of course, ring your own guy, but, you know, ring is obviously a big power card, and we'd rather not have to do that. We'd rather have Tsukiyomi or some sort of tribute monster, right? You know, I don't know how many tributes geistD is running. Maybe he's hoping to draw, like, Dark Magician of Chaos. That would obviously be an amazing card if we were to draw that. And Don't Copy is setting Breaker. I think this can be fine, actually. You're trying to bait something like Nobleman. You're just trying to stall a little. You know, if you set this, you don't have to, like, discard your Sinister. But yeah, now we have Abyss Soldier. So that's probably one of the cards that geistD was hoping to draw. So if you're geistD, you pretty much know this set here is a Thunder Dragon. So I would go Abyss Soldier and just bounce that. Or, I mean, we do have Torrential set. So he's saying, okay, I'm just going to Torrential the board and, you know, get rid of my Thousand Eyes. Try to put pressure on our opponent next turn. Also, the nice thing here is we've cleared up our Speller Trap Zone to set, like, Solemn after. But Don't Copy just uses the Solemn, which, it depends. It depends, really. I think you could, you know, if you think that this is going to put geistD in a tough spot, well, where he'll never be able to out his Thousand Eyes, I think the Solemn can be good. Is that what we want to use our Solemn on? Who knows? You know, who knows? Of course, now, like, the awkward thing is that, you know, now you don't have the Sinister in your hand for this Abyss Soldier. Perhaps Don't Copy knows that geistD is running Abyss Soldier, and, you know, that kind of makes this Solemn a little better. Again, I don't necessarily know how many matches these players have played against each other. I don't know if they both know each other's deck lists. If they do, that obviously makes the decisions a bit different. Yeah, so Don't Copy. You're definitely going to play this Heavy Storm now. Yeah, I mean, we could consider just chaining Jargreed and letting this Heavy go through, because your Thousand Eyes will be able to suck up something else now. You could even do something like Chain Ring on your Sinister, maybe? I don't know. It's close. We'll see what geistD does, though. I mean, I think the obvious play would just be to Solemn, but the problem is I'm not sure if Solemn really does a whole lot for you. But yeah, he thinks it over, does decide to Solemn. Again, I think it's fine. Again, Solemn is the obvious play, but maybe you could consider not using it. And I wonder if Don't Copy now will just... I don't know. I would like to just play the Tribe and just start putting pressure on geistD. But Don't Copy is not biting. Setting the Faith, I mean, that makes sense, because you know your opponent's already used Torrential, so next turn you can go Tribe, clear the field, flip all your guys, and, you know, maybe start attacking. Although, obviously, you still would have to worry about Mirror Force. Yeah, I like flipping this Jargreed here. geistD kind of needs to draw something. I don't really think we have... Yeah, we don't really have anything for Premature. With the Abyss, you could even do something weird like discard Tribe, bounce back your Sinister, and then have Sinister next turn to start bouncing back things. I don't know if we really need to do that. I would probably just want to see if the coast is clear with, like, Dust Shoot first. Yeah, I think setting Cyberjar can be fine, too. Yeah, just set Cyberjar, set Dust Shoot. We do, of course, have to worry about like Faith getting back heavy, perhaps. But yeah, let's just dust shoot. You know, just dust shoot. I mean, you could. Oh, okay. He does dust shoot. Yeah, I mean, just using dust shoot right away is the obvious play. He's using it in standby, of course. Sometimes your opponent moves through the phases kind of quickly. And I would, yeah, we don't have Solemn set, but don't copy a sync thinking to maybe make it look like he has Solemn. You could also chain Raigeki Break, discard Sinister. That's probably what he's actually thinking about. I would consider just doing that. I would probably just chain Raigeki Break, discard Sinister, and just use it on like a random back row. That's what I would do. Just like, I don't know which back row I'd pick. I'd just pick one of them. And oh, he decides to do it on the Thousand Eyes. See, I think that's weird because you could just get back Sinister in your standby and then just go Tribe, clear the board. So yeah, I don't see why we're targeting Thousand Eyes here. I would rather just get back Sinister and standby, go Tribe, blow up the 2 spellcasters. I don't know. Again, I would have done that like a long time ago. I would have done that a long time ago. But I don't know. Maybe he just wants to save this tribe. Maybe he thinks the tribe's going to be better later. I don't know how it's going to be much better later, but it's possible, I suppose. And he just gets back Heavy Storm. So another option here is you could just go Duo, Faith for Duo, Duo again. But again, that puts you at only 2,000. And obviously being at 2,000 is kind of scary. And oh, I guess he had Raigeki Break target the Thousand Eyes because he was just gonna Heavy Storm anyways. I think there's several ways to do this. There's like several ways to do this. I also would have just chained Ring on the Faith because I don't really think there's a reason not to. Your opponent already has a bunch of lights anyways. And now you gotta worry that like Don't Copy might have like Book of Moon. I mean, the Faith and Attack does mean that, I don't know, if you draw, like, BLS or something, maybe you, like, attack for a bunch of damage. I don't know. I would have just ringed the Faith. Maybe there's a reason not to, but I don't see an obvious reason not to. And is this just game? If we just go Tribe, kill every... Yeah, this is just game. This is just game for Don't Copy here. So that's my bad. Because, yeah, this is... And, yeah, even though Don't Copy knows he's going to win this turn, you do want to Duo to get more information about your opponent's deck. So this is actually, like, low-key a pro play here from Don't Copy. And then, yeah, that's just game. So it's definitely an interesting game 1. So, like, geistD started out very ahead with, like, +2 off 2 Trinity pieces. To an extent, this game does show something that I've said in GOAT format for a long time, which is that early game Trinity doesn't like matter as much as you think. I mean, basically the reason that geistD lost is because he got locked under his own Thousand Eyes. Again, I'm not necessarily sure if that's something that like geistD should have actively avoided, or if it's just kind of like, hey, he got unlucky and didn't really draw good ways to unlock himself. I mean, it depends on his list, I guess. You know, the exact list that he was playing, you know, how many Tsukiyomis and Tribute Monsters he plays. In general, I mean, it's interesting. If I was Don't Copy, I would have played the game, like, a lot more aggressively. Like, I would have just gone Tribe to kill the Thousand Eyes and Breaker, like, a lot earlier. I don't know. I mean, my playstyle in general, I feel like... Usually the way that I try to, like, win control mirrors is... to sort of like fight them on the life points axis. Like, okay, you have a bunch of extra cards, but I'm gonna like try to just kill you. I mean, Don't Copy did kill him though, because, you know, Don't Copy, he baited out the Solemn and basically said, oh, well, now that you've paid all these life points, now I can just kill you. And that, I mean, that is the disadvantage of playing Solemn in these control mirrors. I know that, you know, people have different opinions on Solemn. There's a lot of different ways to view the card. And yeah, so the Duo doesn't go plus. I I would actually just save the graceful here, I think. I mean, I think going graceful turn 1 wouldn't be that bad, just because you can hope to, like, draw, I don't know, like a Magician of Faith off of it. But I think just setting Jargrade pass would be a good play. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like the play that I think most top-level players would do here. Again, you could go graceful, but you know, if you resolve this Jargreed, you know, you're more likely to have, like, a Sinister next turn, and you want this Graceful to go plus. And, like, the nice thing about our hand here, if we're geisty, is, like, hey, if our opponent sits a monster, we have cross out for it. We're not really gonna, like, fall behind, like, on a tempo basis. So, yeah, you do want to activate Jargreed, see what you draw. I might just go cross out DD Warrior Lady attack. I hope that's what we do. Okay, so yeah, we'll cross that, see what it is first. And yeah, geisD does just go DD Warrior Lady attack. You know, don't copy, like, didn't set like a back row or anything, so yeah, getting in for 1500 is good. Like, I know that, like, a lot of players, like, don't realize this, but, like, life points can actually, like, really dictate the pace of, like, a GOAT format match. Not really so much yet, but if this, like, DD Warrior Lady gets in for a second hit next turn, being at, like, 5,000 definitely matters. And you'll see here, you'll notice both of these players are not setting their Solemn. And, again, that's because, like, you don't want to pay half your life on, like, the first couple of turns of the game. This is the disadvantage of running Solemn. But, like, good players know this, so they just don't, like, set it turn 1. So, yeah, don't copy doesn't really have, like, a ton of options here. So, yeah, you just set the Knight Assailant. I think we're probably just... Yeah, we're just going to go Azura swap. It's a free +1. And you want to actually do this now if you're geisty, because the thing is that when you're against, like, a Chaos deck that plays Raigeki Break... The risk is that, like, if you go for this kind of play, your opponent chains Raigeki Break, killing your Azura Priest. So you want to do it now while you know your opponent isn't going to chain Raigeki Break. So, yeah, good play on geistD's part. Obviously, don't copy here has kind of, like, not really had a ton of stuff that he can just do. I think we're going to... Yeah, just summon the Sinister, get the, you know, the Knight Assailant, you know, get the effect out of the way. You do take some damage here, and now I think maybe we could set something for don't copy, like maybe set Solemn, because we're going to take a bunch of damage anyways. Yeah, I would probably just, like, I don't know, set something, either set Book or Solemn. Because the problem here is, like, if we don't set anything, then our opponent won't play around Mirror Force Torrential Tribute and will just, like, summon an Azura and hit us for 32. So you kind of have to, like, at least bluff something. Even if you want to just, like, set the cross out, you just kind of have to set something. And, yeah, I mean, we definitely could heavy here. Our opponent could, like, chain Raigeki Break, but even that isn't really, like, the end of the world. So yeah, I like this play here from geisD. If you're geisD, you kind of know that your opponent's hand isn't that good. So, like, just pressure them. Just end the game. And yeah, I mean, I think setting Solemn here is fine now because the game's going to be over soon. We're effectively, like, in the mid to late game here. And if don't copy uses pot, I would highly consider using Solemn. Your opponent has no light, no dark in their grave, so, like, you don't have to worry that your opponent summons a bunch of chaos monsters and kills you. Yeah, so geisD does go for the aggressive Solemn, because he's basically saying, hey, I can tell your hand is shit. I don't want to let you draw 2 cards. You know, what if both of those cards are good? What if the cards you draw off a pot would be, like, I don't know, Breaker Graceful, right? You know? That would suck. So yeah, at this point, you know, don't copy is just trying to survive. I don't know if you've seen it on camera, but I have my kitten here sort of running around. So if I, like, look distracted, that's why. Yeah, so this is pretty nice. So note that like you can tribute for Dark Magician of Chaos, and if your Demon gets solid, now you have a Light in the Dark in your grave for BLS. Just something to like make note of. Here, I mean, I think we're definitely going to discard meta because we don't need two metas. Maybe discard like meta Tribe or just meta Democ. Okay, I guess he doesn't want to go for the big Democ play. And yeah, note here that geistD isn't playing around Mirror Torrential. This is definitely a read here because you know that your opponent top decked Pot of Greed for the last turn, right? So, because you knew your opponent drew Pot of Greed, that means he didn't draw Mirror Torrential, which means if he had Mirror Torrential, he would have had to have it on a previous turn and not set it, which is very unlikely. So, like, if you're geistD here, you basically can be, like, 99% confident that these back rows aren't Mirror Torrential. It's just kind of like a cool thing. Like, I think lower level players might go, oh, my opponent set 2 back rows, I have to play around Mirror Torrential. But you actually just don't. You actually just don't have to play around Mirror Torrential. And I think that's, like, that sort of subtlety can be lost on a lot of players. But, you know, not here. Yeah, and if you don't copy, you're just trying to survive. You don't really have a lot of options. And wow, we top decked the Premature Burial to get back our Dark Magician of Chaos. That is pretty disgusting. You could even do something like Premature Democ, get back Heavy, meta your Democ for Gatling, activate Heavy, and then just go for game. I don't know if that's what he's going to do. You could just get back, like, you know, Pot of Greed too. But, and yeah, obviously this is going to get Solemned here. Because, you know, you kind of have to Solemn here. So yeah, I mean, you could just go, like, Azura attack. Yeah, I guess here, you know, we're going for the sort of aggressive Thousand Eyes again. Note that it technically is correct to put this Thousand Eyes in defense, but, you know, we're not going to harp on that. So yeah, we've got a Light in the Dark and Grave. I guess the view is that we could always just BLS this Thousand Eyes. The other thing that you could have done is you could have gone Tribe, discard Faith, kill our own Night Assailant, summon BLS in defense, use effect, and attack for game. Now, obviously, we would know that probably would have been game, but even if you're geistD, you probably know that would be game, because again, as we talked about before, like, we know these back rows, like, kind of aren't anything good. They're not, like, Mirror Torrential. So I would have considered just attacking for game. Because we're probably going to end up basically doing the same thing anyways, but, like, the next turn. So, I don't know. To me, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really, I guess I don't really understand what geistD's plan is here. Again, I know we have guilty knowledge, but I feel like just going for game last turn would have been, like, safe-ish, you know? Man, I got distracted by my kitten and I didn't see what happened. but I guess, yeah, geistD did something. Oh, whoops. Hold on. Let's pause here. Oh, so actually what happened was I think the cat hit the fast forward button, which is why I missed that play. Alright, well, geistD killed his own Thousand Eyes and won somehow. Okay, let's move on. So yeah, I guess don't copy, just set Raigeki, break Night Assailant, which is fine. And then we went Cyberjar, Dust Shoot, Mirror Force. Yeah, we don't necessarily have to Dust Shoot yet, because maybe we want to let this Cyberjar resolve, and then maybe the Cyberjar, like, adds a Chaos Monster to our opponent's hand, and then we Dust Shoot. So now that our opponent is going Night Assailant on our Cyberjar, now I think I would just flip Dust Shoot, which he does. Yeah, I mean, geistD plays this pretty much perfectly. And yeah, I mean, sending back BLS is the obvious choice. Your opponent has, like, 2 Dead Faiths, a Sengen. I mean, you could send back Sinister, right? Sinister would be, like, the second best choice. But BLS is just so good, and you know your opponent's going to have the Light in the Dark for it, right? So So what do we have set again? Mirror Force. Okay, that was what I thought. So yeah, we're not gonna Mirror Force here, of course. But yeah, maybe I would just, yeah, probably just summon Tribe, try to attack over this Knight Assailant. I mean, it does 1400. And if you don't copy, should we Raigeki Break here? I would consider it. I would consider it. I mean, you know, it does let us attack again next turn, right? I mean, I think, again, like, life points really matter in GOAT format. They really do, which is why I'm not the biggest fan of Upstart Goblin. But, yeah, we are going to activate it. Yeah, we are going to play Thunder Dragon. Note, I mean, this is, again, minor, very minor thing. I would discard the Thunder Dragon in main phase too, because now when we go to attack, our opponent now knows our full hand. Whereas if we Thunder Dragon in main phase 2, then our opponent doesn't know what we drew for the turn when we're attacking. Again, it's extremely minor. And then, so you'll notice the reason that Don't Copy attacked this way is because Don't Copy knows that geistD is on GOAT control. So the idea is that, like, if you use GOATs to block the Sengen hit, then the Knight Assailant will kill a GOAT token. But if we don't use GOATs, then we switch Knight Assailant to defense, which is exactly what he did. So, Don't Copy, he attacked with the right monsters in the right order with the right battle position. Obviously, Don't Copy has, like, a ton of experience playing against GOAT control. And now we have Upstart in the grave. We can set the Faith. I mean, that is part of the reason why people play Upstart in these decks. But the problem is, if you're giving your opponent a bunch of life, you know, you're not going to be able to kill them as quickly. So it's kind of like, it's a trade-off, you know? It's a trade-off. And, yeah, I guess, yeah, we're just going to go meta. I mean, I agree with this. We just got to go meta for Thousand Eyes. Otherwise, we're basically just not doing anything. Take this face-down monster. We know it's probably not Sinister, right? It's probably a Faith. Which, yeah, I mean, it is. It makes sense. And next turn, we can have Thousand Eyes, like, attack the Sengen and, you know, start sucking up other guys. So, geistD, I mean, he has a game plan. He's definitely behind in the game, but he has a game plan. Unfortunately, Don't Copy draws Raigeki Break to kill the Thousand Eyes, which is very good. And just sets another Faith, just because, why not? Pottery, of course, is a very good draw. Now, you could maybe, like, set Heavy Storm before you activate Pot to play around Dust Shoot, right? Don't Copy did go first this game. Could very easily have Dust Shoot in his deck. So that is something you could do. You could, you know, set like Heavy Storm before you activate Pot, then you only draw to 3 instead of 4. I mean, that's very, very, very minor, but it's something to think about, at least. It's something to think about. That is something that you do see a lot of top-level players doing, is playing around Dust Shoot. So yeah, geistD will take 1,000. And then I would probably just wait for him to declare Thousand Eyes. But yeah, yeah, you just go, okay, I'm going to Raigeki Break, kill the Thousand Eyes. If you're geistD, you know your opponent's last 2 cards in hand are 2 Thunder Dragons. Now, I would just activate the Duo here. Otherwise, your opponent might just tribute one of these monsters for Thunder Dragon and start attacking you. Duo definitely does get value here. Thunder Dragon, you know, it attacks for 1,600. That is a thing that it can do. I would consider setting the Solemn here, because, again, we're going to take a bunch of damage anyway. Our opponent is top decking, so he only has a 1 in 29 chance of drawing Heavy Storm. Obviously, if we set Solemn, it makes our own Heavy Storm worse, but we're probably not going to use this Heavy soon anyways. So, me personally, I would probably lean towards setting the Solemn, but you don't have to, necessarily. So yeah, if you're geistD, I think you're happy that you're going to gain another 1,000. So yeah. Right, so instead of gaining 1,000 and taking it away, he just didn't add it. Hopefully you can see what happened there. And then, Don't Copy accidentally Summon Spy. Note that he drew Spy for his turn, activated Upstart, and drew into the second Spy. That is... It's a very unlucky draw, and it's kind of a unfortunate misclick. Yeah, that's an awkward turn for Don't Copy. So geistD draws Chargrade. We're still not setting the Solemn. I guess we think we probably won't need it. But I don't know, if we draw like some sort of power card like BLS, if we draw something like BLS, I feel like we want to like have Solemn set for, I don't know, something. And Don't Copy is just going aggro, just going full aggro here. Activates Jar in battle phase. Oh, I guess he wants to see what he draws off the jar before he decides if he wants to Mirror Force. So he goes, okay, I'm going to jar when you enter battle phase. And do we Mirror Force here? I don't think we have to yet. I don't think we really have any reason to use Mirror Force yet. He does decide to Mirror Force, though. I don't know. I mean, because I don't mind, like, taking all the battle damage, because we're going to end up paying a bunch of life anyways, so... I don't know. I think you could go either way here. Now, the thing, though, is that if Don't Copy is a good player, after you use this Enter Battle Phase Jar... like, alarm bells should start going off, and Don't Copy should not necessarily know, but suspect that geistD has Mirror set. It could also be something like Scapegoat, right? It could be something like Scapegoat, but you know that, like, Mirror Force is at least a decent possibility. So maybe geistD's logic is, well, my opponent might figure out that I have Mirror Force set, you know, like, in future turns, so I better use it now rather than later. I don't know. It's hard to necessarily know what's going through their heads. If you're geistD here, you really are, I think, kind of upset about these draws. Note, though, that if we didn't use Mirror Force, we could maybe, like, Snatch, Steal, Spy, and, like, start attacking over some things. So, I don't know. It's tough. I mean, it's been a tough game for geistD. It really has. I mean, really both of these players have, like, had some really kind of awkward draws. So I don't really necessarily think either one can complain because they both kind of had underpowered draws this game. But yeah, I mean, obviously, like, when you don't have a monster and your opponent does, it can be kind of rough. And yeah, I guess if you're Don't Copy, you could just, like, summon some cards and go for game. Oh, he does just go for game. Yeah, I mean, this kind of was the downside of using the Mirror Force. Oh yeah, that's right, Don't Copy had Solemn set. So even if geistD had, like, goats here, he was just dead. So yeah, it was a close game. I think overall, both players played very well. It's funny, there were, like, a few times where I was like, oh, I'm not sure if they made the right play. And then I, like, corrected myself and realized, oh, wait, no, they actually did. There were, like, maybe a few things that they could have done differently, but I think this is pretty close to, like, a perfectly played match. Both players are obviously very good. Both of them obviously know the matchup. Both of them also made really good use of Solemn Judgment. Just something to be aware of. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this match between two very good GOAT format players.